Good morning. In yesterday's video accompanying the meditation, I ended with the phrase that this is where creativity really gets exciting. And I was talking about Eckhart's understanding of creativity, because Eckhart develops this whole idea that when we give birth to the Christ, just like Mary did. And that, as he says, God is always needing to be born. God is always needing to be born. But he's so radical and foundational when he says we are giving birth to the Christ. It's not enough that Mary did it. We do it too, in our own person, in our own culture, in our own time. Now, in today's meditation, which I'm very excited about, that amazing project at the University in Canada, where the sustainability department has gotten a grant to go beyond science, because they're saying science is not really solving the extinction problem that we face from climate change and the rest. It has the facts, but it doesn't have the juice, the energy to move hearts and get people working. That scientists can keep putting out all kinds of factual documents about how bad things are getting, but as the two scientists point out in their essay, this is not moving people. It's not getting governments to move. It's one thing to have facts, it's another thing to move people. And as they say, they have to enter the field of spirituality, where consciousness gets affected and turned on. And as I say, the traditional language for that is acedia. Acedia is one of the capital sins, and we've translated it as sloth over the centuries, but it means much more than that. It's about lack of energy to begin new things, according to Aquinas. So it's about getting energy flowing. Aquinas says acedia is a shrinking of the mind, not from any spiritual good, but from the goodness of God. In other words, first of all, to say it's a shrinking of the mind is scary. Have we been shrinking our minds while we've been piling up our scientific facts? Have we been shrinking our minds while we go to college and graduate school and get trained in skills of law and economics and business and medicine and science? Nevertheless, are we shrinking our mind? Have we lost our connection to the whole? Have we lost our connection to beauty and our responsibility for beauty and for goodness, and keeping the goodness alive, passing it on to the next generation? In other words, where are the values in all this education? And this is the same question that Einstein raised when he said, and I quote, "I abhor American education," unquote. Why? Because he said it emphasizes the rational. It's all about the rational, and it ignores what he called the intuitive, from which he says we get our values. It ignores values. And for me, another word for the intuitive, and he called it also deep feeling, but another word for me is the mystical brain. And this is where the mystics are so much to offer us today. When Aquinas says we can shrink our minds, has there been a big shrinking going on of our minds because we have left out the intuitive in our professional schools, and indeed in 99% of adult education, including, I dare say, including education in the arts and music and the rest, that it tends to be all about technique, and again, not about intuition and expanding the mind. That's the opposite of shrinking the mind, isn't it? Expanding our consciousness. And this is what spirituality brings to the table, at least the creation spirituality does. So I'm very excited about this letter that I share with you today, this article, because I think it speaks to the deep need we have today to link science and spirituality. And when these get together, then we have a living cosmology, and we have the energy and the excitement to move on these all important issues of climate change and survival of our planet as we know it, survival of so many other species, so wonderful with whom we share this planet, and survival of Homo sapiens as well. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.